Dear student, I welcome you to this class on Chapter 1 Chemical Reactions and Equations from Class 10 Science prescribed by CBSE and KSEEB of Karnataka. In this part, we are going to learn about what are the indications of a chemical change. As we know, matter is everywhere in our surrounding. As we have studied in our earlier classes, matter is anything that takes up space and has mass. Matter is constantly experiencing both chemical as well as physical changes. As we have already studied, under normal conditions, matter can exist in three different states as solid, liquid, and gas. Let us consider what a physical change is. Physical changes occur when matter changes its property but not its chemical nature. Physical property changes could include a change in texture, shape, color, change of state, volume, weight, or density. Let us consider this situation. Here is a liquid in a container. If it is subjected to freezing, it will be converted into a solid. The same solid on melting will become liquid again. If this liquid is allowed for evaporation, it will be turned into a gas. If the same gas is subjected to condensation, it will turn into a liquid again. In all these cases, matter has not changed its chemical nature, but only it has changed its physical nature. Such changes are called physical changes. Let us consider some of the situations of daily life and think what happens when milk is left at room temperature during summers. An iron tawa, pan, or a nail is left exposed to humid atmosphere. Grapes get fermented. Food is cooked. Food gets digested in our body. We respire. In the first case, when milk is left at room temperature during summers, it soars as the lactose sugar in the milk will be converted into lactic acid. In the second case, when an iron tawa, pan, or nail is left exposed to humid atmosphere for some time, it gets rusted. In the third case, when grapes get fermented, it turns into wine due to the formation of alcohol in it. When food is cooked, it gets changed its properties as the constituents in it like proteins get deformed. In the fifth case, when food gets digested in our body, complex food molecules are converted into simple nutrients that can be absorbed and assimilated in our body. In the sixth case, when we respire, carbohydrates or fatty acids are oxidized to release energy in cells. In all the above situations, the nature and the identity of the initial substance have somewhat changed. Such changes are called chemical changes. Let us consider a special case here. Observe this burning candle. In the region of this burning candle, where its wax is melting, it is a physical change, because if this candle stops burning, the molten wax will solidify again into solid wax. Consider this region of the flame. Where its wax is burning, it is a chemical change. Because when a candle burns, the oxygen in the air reacts and forms carbon dioxide and water. Here, new substances are formed. Let us consider an experiment prescribed in the class 10th science textbook, activity 1.1. Clean a magnesium ribbon about 3 to 4 cm long by rubbing it with sandpaper. This cleaning is required to remove the thin film of magnesium oxide layer formed on the magnesium ribbon. Hold it with a pair of tongs. Burn it using a spirit lamp or burner and collect the ash so formed in a watch glass as shown here. What do you observe in this experiment? Magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling white flame and changes into a white powder. This powder is magnesium oxide. It is formed due to the reaction between the magnesium and the oxygen present in the air. Let us consider another experiment, activity 1.2 prescribed in the class 10th science textbook. Take some potassium iodide in a conical flask, add lead nitrate in another conical flask. Prepare their solutions using distilled water. Mix both of them in another large flask. What do you observe? In this experiment, we observe that potassium iodide reacts with lead nitrate and produces lead iodide and potassium nitrate. The lead ions and iodide ions will eventually meet to form a yellow precipitate. The chemical reaction can be represented as lead nitrate plus potassium iodide give rise to lead iodide plus potassium nitrate. In this chemical reaction, one molecule of lead nitrate reacts with two molecules of potassium iodide to form one molecule of lead iodide with the formation of two molecules of potassium nitrate. Let us consider one more experiment prescribed in the class 10th science textbook, activity 1.3. Take a few zinc granules in a conical flask or a test tube. Add dilute hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid to this. We must be very careful while handling the acids as they are dangerous, and when they spill on our body parts, they may cause injuries. Do you observe anything happening around the zinc granules? And then touch the conical flask or the test tube. Is there any change in its temperature? In this experiment, when dilute sulfuric acid is poured on zinc granules, then zinc sulfate is formed along with the evolution of a gas. The gas evolved is hydrogen. We can test its presence by bringing a burning candle near the mouth of the test tube and hearing for a popping sound. If you touch the conical flask after the reaction, you will feel an increase in its temperature. The chemical reaction of this can be represented as sulfuric acid plus zinc give rise to zinc sulfate with the liberation of hydrogen gas. The above three activities, we can say that any of the following observations help us to determine whether a chemical reaction has taken place or not. The number one is change in state. Number two, change in color. Number 3, evolution of gas. Number 4, change in temperature. Number 5, formation of a precipitate. Let us compare a physical change with a chemical change. In a physical change, the nature of the substance, the particles of which it is composed, and the number of particles remain unchanged. Whereas in a chemical change, the properties of the new substances are different from the original. The particles are different and the number of particles can also change. We can see that there is a large variety of chemical reactions taking place around us. We will study about the various types of chemical reactions and their symbolic representations in our coming classes. In the next class, we will continue with how to represent a chemical change scientifically in the form of a chemical equation. I hope you enjoyed the class. Please go to the description box of this video where you will find a link to attend an online quiz in a Google form. Attend the quiz to know your understanding. All the best. Have a nice time.